from what I know, surprise, surprise, I'm from Earth. I don't know if you knew that, but I have an idea about how some of these things work on Earth, and I think it might even be harder in the future. Dang. Where is that thing? I can do this. I'm Lieutenant Mark. Dummy. Kids these days. What's up with kids these days? I'll tell you what's up. It's Starfleet Academy. This is the first episode of our new Star Trek show. Our new show from New Trek. That is everything post-Discovery. And if you couldn't catch it by watching it, maybe you didn't really watch it, you're just watching this review, but if you did watch it, you could tell it's definitely New Trek. You could tell it's not quite Discovery 2, and it's not quite Strange New Worlds 2. Luckily, this thing felt kind of different, although maybe I'm jumping the gun. I've only seen the first episode. I'm reviewing these episodes separately. To be totally upfront with you, and not to spoil the review too much, I would say that this episode is the most average thing I've seen from a New Trek property in many a year. I've seen a lot of season premieres and a lot of series premieres, and frankly, this one doesn't make me feel much of anything. This one is par for the course, and if you allow me, if you'll abide by this for a moment, I'd like to get my laundry list of complaints about the new Trek atmosphere right out of the gate, because they're all on full display here, and I don't want it to sour the review too much, because I'm reviewing this for what it is, not for exactly what I want. I'm trying to be objective here. New Trek. Bad language. It's either very dark or it's very shiny. It's never in the middle. It's very cinematic in a way that Old Trek wasn't. Old Trek had very simple camera angles. It was just trying to tell you a story. We're trying to get through the script, not really, amaze you with what the camera can do, or in many cases shouldn't be doing. And finally, music that doesn't really belong there. Not diegetic music. That is music that is not occurring in the scene. It's not music that they're playing, and the music that they are playing, usually with New Trek, is contemporary. This music that I heard at the end of this was, it did get stuck in my head a little bit, but it wasn't your rousing orchestral score that you may be used to from Star Trek. This is not your grandpa's Star Trek, which is something I feel you're going to be hearing a lot from people who are reviewing this professionally. Have you heard that before? This is not your dad's Star Trek. It's a little different. That's what you're going to be hearing, for the most part, probably from people who got the first 3 episodes or something early to review this. Hopefully this isn't going to be another example of the first 3 episodes are okay, and then it jumps off a cliff. But with that out of the way, let's get into Kids These Days. That is the first episode of this series. And we're on some Federation colony, and our character, Caleb Mir, who I believe is pretty much the main character of this show. It definitely feels like it. It feels like we have an ensemble cast, yes, but this is the main character. Probably striking a good balance between Discovery and a Strange New Worlds mode. Like, just between main character and ensemble, we're doing kind of a cross. Probably a good idea. I personally didn't feel that Discovery worked out so well with like a main character idea for Star Trek. Could have worked if it was different, but that's neither here nor there. Caleb Mir is our main character. We meet him when he's like 5 or 6. We see him with his mother. Spoilers abound here. I'm going to give you the broad strokes. Braka is introduced. We have our main character and our main bad guy, apparently, in the same scene, in the first scene of this TV show, just to set up things up, right off the bat, just to get you in head first. Our mother in Anisha Mir is taken away along with Braka by Starfleet personnel, one of them being Nahla Ake, our captain for this series, it would appear. And Braka is a criminal of some sort. He hijacked some kind of shuttle and killed the pilot, very bad, and stole the food. But it was to feed this starving person and her kid. And it is obvious the way they shot this, where they were making Starfleet look like the bad guys, which is never going to work for me, because if I'm that kid, if I'm Caleb Mir, and I have to be a ward of the state, and the state is the Federation, Man, I wish I was Caleb Mir. I'm totally biased. I'm extremely biased in this regard. Bear with me. But I would love it if I was in a Federation penal colony right now. Dang. But Braka is the lucky one. He gets to go to a Federation penal colony after found guilty, I guess, by Nahla Ake. And Anisha, Caleb's mom, is an accomplice to this. Unfortunately, she is accomplice to murder, as this scene would have it. And it should be noted that our information on this, right, passing judgment on it, is premature because we have such a tiny amount of information on what actually happened. I feel like this is going to be expanded upon greatly. I have no idea what happened in their background, in the lore of this show. All I know is that Braka is now a criminal, in a sense, and Anisha Mir has gone missing, as does Caleb Mir go missing shortly soon after. Caleb Mir manages to steal Nahla Ake's comm badge. Come on. And then the comm badge... Look, everything that happens here is kind of tainted by the fact that it's past the year 3000. So you imagine what you saw in TNG, and now imagine, 800 years go by or something. 700 and some, or whatever it is. That makes it hard to write, because how advanced the technology must be. Caleb Mir steals the comm badge off of Ake, and it doesn't read his DNA. It doesn't work like that. It just works like an old comm badge. He's holding it. Therefore, he is Captain Nahla Ake. Maybe not captain at that time, I don't know. But having that badge means he can activate a wall mount thing and then escape when he's 5 or 6 years old. I mean, that's a running theme of nastiness through this episode so far has been, wow, I can't believe how weak the technology is. Our enemy's got some incredible technology, but we don't, even though we're Starfleet. You're going to see that coming up here and there as I review this episode. But this is just the first instance of it. Wow, Caleb can steal the comm badge. Okay, that's a little bit crazy. And now the comm badge doesn't reject Caleb. It can't detect his hand. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Just having their comm badge is enough to get into things. That's it. And the wall mount didn't double check. It doesn't have a camera in it. It can't sense this isn't right. I don't know. Maybe this is a very, very old facility. Your guess is as good as mine, but all I know is that Caleb Mir escapes, leading to Nahla Ake going on a downward spiral of wishing she didn't separate Anisha and Caleb. Oh, dang. What am I going to do? That was so many years ago, and I feel so bad. But then Admiral Vance shows up, who we know from Star Trek Discovery, and makes a proposition. You can be the captain, the chancellor of this new academy, our first one going back to San Francisco since however long. And by the way, we found Caleb Mir. And that's enough to get Nahla Ake involved, because Nahla Ake's mission in life now, as long as her life is, she's a Lanthanite. Just like, what was that character? Pelia from Strange New Worlds? I wonder, are they related? I don't know. They could be, because they lived for so long. And I mean directly, maybe we'll find out her grandmother is Pelia or something. I don't know. That would make the universe feel extra small, and I hope they don't do that. But what you hope they don't do very often turns out to be what they do. Nahla Ake is now captain of the Athena. The Athena is the school, which is the ship, and they're going to do that line. Is that thing taking us to our school? No, that ship is the school. I knew, I read it before they said it. I'm psychic, and I'm not psychic, because I know what lines they're going to do, and they do that line, and they kind of trying to do kind of a riff on revealing the Enterprise from the motion picture, the greatest scene in the franchise, and this ain't it. The Athena is gray, splotchy, ugly, surprisingly angular, and it looks like form over function, which I don't really love. It's not for me. I don't know, maybe it's for you, but these things are subjective largely. And it to me, the Athena, sorry to get ahead of you here, ahead of things with talking about the ship, the USS Athena, it doesn't look much like the ships from this era. It doesn't have the same kind of flat white kind of design. It's not like super ergonomic looking. It is odd, but I don't know if I'm gonna come around on it, but I never came around on the Discovery after 5 seasons. So we're gonna see what happens here. But Caleb Mir is now on some prison colony. Great. We could have been we could have belonged to the Federation and have them look after us, or we could be trying to find our mom and end up in another alien, vastly worse colony. So that's where we ended up, and we have our scene where Caleb takes over a prisoner shuttle. I mean, being in a prisoner shuttle, having eerie flashbacks to Discovery episode like 3. Remember where Michael was in that shuttle as a prisoner? I don't want to get eerie flashbacks to that, but I'm getting it here because we end up with our fight scene where he, I don't know, just does some kind of new Trek combat where you just punch and kick really fast and there's lots of editing. And he almost crashes the shuttle, and he's using the shuttle's interface to try to see if his mom's there, and she's not. So we know now that his mission in life is to find his mom. Aww, I need to find my mom. Where's my mom? I'm sorry. It's just something I can't really relate to, but that's okay. We know what people's motivations are. That's important. Establishing people's motivations in Nahla Ake and Caleb Mir, who seem to be our main characters, as in one is the captain and one is who the story revolves around. And Caleb Mir, along with our other cast of characters, is kind of like the everyman. He's kind of like he's the audience. And I must say that our characters they look superficially interesting, but they're actually kind of bland. It's exactly what you expect. You think you're writing this and you got these interesting characters, but they're actually characters we've all seen before. We have the tough guy. We have the asshole that you learn to love. And they do call him an asshole in this show, as well as many other colorful metaphors. We have the awkward girl, Sam, who we already had that character slot with Tilly. By the way, we had that character slot. Now we're filling it with Sam. She's a hologram. We have the normal girl, Genesis. Like it's the characters you've seen. It's like, what characters do we need for teen drama? Okay, tough guy. Awkward girl. Normal girl. Normal guy. Okay, we got them all. We're all slotted in. Okay, we're good to go. That's kind of what we got here, with superficial differences regarding their physiology, having owing to their past with being aliens, or in some cases a hologram. That's neither here nor there, but it is later. We find Caleb Mir and we break him out of this prison, dungeon, what have you. He thinks he can keep surviving on the run. He has done it as many years as he has. Perhaps it's not skill, perhaps it was luck. Perhaps this next breakout for him is going to be impossible and he's going to die. And that's basically the argument we make to him in the form of Nahla Ake talking to him. And we do get him out of this prison, and we do bring him to the Academy. Things progress. As I had mentioned before, the ship is ugly as heck. It's ugly as all get out, I think. Again, subjective. And we do meet the doctor, EMH. This is not the one from Living Witness for you Voy boys out there. This is just the straight up doctor, EMH. And I must say, Robert Picardo, he didn't really miss a beat. He's still just the doctor we remember. There you go. There you have it. And he does say that he altered his program to look older, to not worry people. The age-old excuse for age-old people. It works a little bit better than the Guinan one from Picard, season 2, I must say. But in this case, we have old EMH. And he talks to somebody who swallowed their comm badge. How do you swallow your comm badge? Come on. Oops, I swallowed my comm badge. He talks to Caleb Mir. He heals him from some kind of worms that he has in his body. He has all these diseases. He cleans him up with one hypospray or whatever it is in this day and age. It looked like a TNG phaser modified. I couldn't help but notice that. But We go through a wall that immediately transports a haircut and a uniform onto our bodies, which was pretty cool. And his haircut was not regulation. Really? Really? He had... I'm just going to tell you, he had no beard, but he had... I think he had a little ponytail, and his hair was not that crazy. That's not regulation? Really? I don't know. It looked like it was occupying less volume than Jaden's hair. Jaden is the Klingon character here. Yeah, Jaden. You've accidentally given him a human name. I know it's possible, Jaden, but, spice it up. Change the D to a G. Make him Jagan. I did it. I got it, guys. I got it. Put me on the team. I got it. I fixed it. Look, Jagan. That's way cooler than Jaden. And it sounds like it's not really something you hear on Earth, in my experience anyway, for whatever that's worth. But Kraag is definitely a lot cooler of a last name, so I'm just going to call him Kraag. He's your tough guy character, but he's also a little bit sensitive because he likes watching birds. It is what it is. We have our Klingon character now, our human, and then we get into a fight in a hallway where we meet our other characters, and it's just like, I don't know where these people went to school that wrote this, but I have never seen characters of, we'll call them young. They do call them kids, so if I call them kids, I'm not making a mistake. They call them kids. I've never seen kids, just fly off the handle like this for nothing. It feels like there's no kind of general awkwardness in the air. It feels like we're hitting the ground running, like we're ready to go as soon as we show up. Like, in my experience, people are not generally kind of wearing things on their sleeve like this, so to speak. It just... was I supposed to be laughing? There was a few moments here where I figured it was supposed to be serious, but I was having an involuntary and possibly unintended laugh because I couldn't believe how not real some of these interactions felt. They felt so forced. They felt on the nose, and they felt like some of these interactions with these characters felt like there should have been 5 episodes from now, like where they kind of get to know each other. Like when I was in school a long time ago, thousands of years ago, and I still had hair. We had to do exercises to get to know people, to force you to know them. They would, the drama teacher would take this over, and they would put people through little exercises to make them talk to each other, to forcibly break the ice, because at this point in time, the ice was so thick, you could stay locked inside a crystalline tomb for your whole life and not know anybody, and that happened to a lot of people, and they ended up not having any networking skills, which in that day and age would get you killed, basically, in the environment, in the economy, as it were. Maybe that happened to you, or maybe it happened to me, I don't know. But we would have to do exercises to get people to, open up to each other, and to develop the friendships that we needed to have networking in the first place, which is very important. Much more important than skills. There's a lesson to people who might be younger than me. And it just didn't feel like that had advanced in 1,000 years. Like, how different would this really be? How truly alien are these people? It turns out not very. In fact, it turns out that they're people who maybe are retrograde in behavior from the people watching it today. I think the target audience for this might pick up on this and might kind of dip out and say, this is very weird and not realistic and doesn't reflect how I feel. This is very much a Star Trek that they said themselves is meant to reflect the current atmosphere for the targeted audience today, for where you are, not where I am in the future, but where you are in your day and age. And I don't know if this is going to behave properly if they sniff out that there's something not real about this. Like maybe they have an immune response to it, and they say, "Ooh, what? This seems like something written by old people for young people," which is an immediate turnoff, right? As you may have guessed. But if this show does fail, and I don't know how to determine if it even does, because I don't know how to see the numbers, the raw data, that will be why. If this fails, that's kind of, I think that might be a big reason why. And we're setting it in a property, Star Trek, that young people just don't want to see. Sorry to get some meta on you, and I wanted this to be a strict review on this episode, but it's hard to get away from the meta commentary around this, given that this is the first episode of this series. We're taking this ship with all our new characters through space. We're never going to miss a teachable moment. And we see a lightning storm in space. No, that's Star Trek 2009. We see some kind of tachyon interference. Oh my gosh, tachyons. And it says tachyons on the screen. By the way, all of our screens have a cool sci-fi font. Really? Really? The font is not a perfectly legible font like we had on Elcars back in the day. It's like cool and using a font that's like meant to be futuristic and sci-fi. I don't know about that one, but anyway, it turns out to be legible enough that we know that there's tachyons here, and this means that Braka has shown up. Oh no, Braka is here with an angular ship with green lights. I mean, come on. Like if this season ends up being about robots, AI, or automation, I'm out. If we're doing that again, because I don't want to see that again. We already got the super angular ship with green lights, evil colors, green equals evil, and it's very angular and stupidly designed. And number 2, parent problems. We got parent problems. We always have parent problems in Star Trek. You have that problem in real life. Too bad. You're seeing it in your show. Too bad. You can't unwind and relax and watch this and get something to really think about. That's not happening. You're going back into your real life. You're being dragged kicking and screaming back into the problems of your real life. Are these the problems of the writers? Did they have parent problems? Probably. Probably. A bad writer can only write what they know, right? They can't write something that has a spark in it, that has an inherent confusion at its core that causes the audience to extrapolate upon incomplete information. If you're not super talented, you write the situations you've been in, right? And that's all you really can do. You can't write something like that can be interpreted in multiple different ways. If 2 people can watch something and have the opposite interpretation, you probably made something good. But if everyone has the same interpretation, and in fact it just tells you what it means, it's probably pretty bad. And I'm not laying judgment on this entire season, but I am judging this one episode. And this episode, as it happens, is, as I teased earlier in this review, average. Because our villain, Braka, shows up as a hologram on the bridge, and he looks like he's interacting with the environment. He's walking on steps. He's not tripping over things. Is he seeing the bridge? Can we allow that? Is that bad? Seeing our nightclub bridge, right? He might start dancing in our nightclub. This bridge, which is silver with funny lights and everything, and I mean all last 2 seasons of Discovery, I wanted to see inside a ship from that era. We never really got to see it. This is not how I imagined it to look. I imagined it to look like the inside of the Federation headquarters from Star Trek Discovery Season 3 and 4 and 5. That's what I expected, but this is not like that. In fact, this ship looks like it came from Star Trek Discovery. Imagine that. It looks like the other ships. It doesn't really look that much more advanced. You really got to get creative. You got to really push the boundaries here. You got to really go out there. And I just as a commentary on the bridge itself, I mean, the ship design and its internals in general, it doesn't really wow me. I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is insane. This is it's more like, oh, this is a Discovery ship. Okay. But Braka is tricked into thinking that the warp core is going to breach, meaning he's really, really stupid. They run a simulation of what would happen if the warp core was breaching. Braka says, your warp core is cold. I'm going to steal it. And you're trying to get me to get out of here. He has his people on the Athena ready to cut apart the warp core and take it for themselves. Still up to his old thieving ways, I guess. And Ake runs what is probably a learning program to show what would happen if the warp core blew up. And Braka can't figure this out. You can't figure that out. Braka himself and or the ship he came from can't figure out that the warp core is not going to blow up. You can't detect the antimatter. You can't detect like the EPS conduits. You can't detect the deuterium. You can't detect the warp plasma. You can't detect its power output. You can't. He even said it's cold. I don't know. I would have said no. Or better yet, I would have went back to my ship and ordered the ship to move backward a little bit and wait to see if it blows up. And then when it doesn't blow up, I win. There's a lot of tactical problems, technological problems, tactical problems, believability problems in this episode. Maybe I'm going to give it a lower score than I thought I was going to give it, now that I'm having to reiterate on the experience I had watching the episode. Braka leaves, but he leaves in a escape pod after fighting Caleb Mir. By the way, the ship, the Athena, was full of programmable matter. The one thing we figured out to do in the future, programmable matter. So we're going to keep using it. We're going to go hard on the programmable matter. It was covering the ship, and that was how we were defeated by this alien vessel. And we figure out through technobabble, Caleb Mir hacking things, and characters walking on the outside of the ship in Reymi, our lovable asshole, to get an atomic coefficient it would seem off the programmable matter, to give it to Caleb to program into a thing so that they could use the deflector. They said deflector, use the deflector to bounce it off the hull. Technobabble. You know you're probably in Technobabble land when they need to use the deflector. And they did here. I was waiting for it and they said deflector. And this whole thing came about originally. Caleb Mir himself endangered the entire school, everyone on the Athena, because he hacked a console to send a message to his mom to see if she was out there. He couldn't wait 5 seconds before hacking a terminal. That endangering everyone's lives. That's how Braka detected that message, and that's how Braka found the Athena. Come on. Like, I've heard stories from real life military situations where people got kicked out for nothing. People got kicked out for way, way less. Similar things. I've heard stories of somebody modifying a radio so that they could hear, I think, a football game, and they got kicked out. Being able to modify a radio to hear a frequency that you shouldn't be able to hear is a great skill to have if you're lost or if you're in a situation where you need to be evacuated. That's a great skill to have. But they don't want heroes. They don't want people who are going to, cause a problem with the chain of command. They don't need everybody being a captain. If you're going to be a captain, they're going to find out, believe me. They're going to know who sorts into what. They know what I was told, who's who in the zoo. And something like this, something like hacking a terminal on the ship on your first day, sending a message, you must have known that was a bad idea. You must have known. Are you going to do that again? Well, he gets menial labor as a punishment and gets to stay in Starfleet. But Nahla Ake probably pulled some strings because, I mean, if you ever wanted to seem like you're the teacher's pet, this is how you do it. Is he ever going to get over the accusations? I have a feeling the teacher's pet probably isn't going to come up very often. Probably they're just going to forget about it. The things that would happen in reality that might get teen, young adult viewers interested are probably not going to happen here. We're probably going to forget about this whole issue because this is, methinks this isn't the show they want it to be. I think they want the school teen drama show, and I don't know if they're going to get it because on our first episode, we're just exploding things and fighting an alien. Is that what? I don't know what goes on in these shows. I was told as I got older I would start to watch them, but I never did. I just kept watching Star Trek, so I don't know what happens. But do they fight villains and things, and do they see explosions, and do they use technobabble, and are they in the distant future? I don't know. Maybe those things are going to make this unique and sell the show. I don't know. That remains to be seen. Like I said before, Braka does escape the situation on an escape pod. You cannot escape a starship on the escape pod. You just can't. Okay? They're going to know where it's going. He gets away on the Athena's own escape pod. Can anyone tell me why they can't track that? Why they can't tractor beam it in? You know, like, you don't have a probe. You don't have, there's flying, those awful dot robots that are flying around. I seen them hovering around. Send that. We sent a character through an airlock to walk on the outside of the ship to look directly at the programmable matter. Can we not put a probe, a robot, a work bee, a shuttle, anything through an airlock anywhere else to chase after Braka? He couldn't have gotten that far. I'm sorry, he just didn't get away. I don't believe that. He just leaves the plot on an escape pod. No, you don't. No, you don't. Anyway, exit Braka, and now we're on our way after having saved the day to San Francisco, whereupon it plays that annoying song about if you ever go to San Francisco, put flowers in your hair. Like nothing happened. It's still the 24th century. Nothing happened. Don't worry about all that stuff where Earth was not in the Federation anymore. And then they got back into put back into the Federation on a whim, like it's nothing. Like it takes, like, getting Earth back into the Federation and getting everything buddy again and cleaning everything up and putting the students from Starfleet back in San Francisco. That would take like 200 years normally, right? From what I know, surprise, I'm from Earth. I don't know if you knew that, but I have an idea about how some of these things work on Earth, and I think it might even be harder in the future. Really, we're back here like nothing happened and everything's hunky-dory, and it's just like, it reeks of, we weren't thinking that far ahead, right? When we wrote this to have the Earth not in the Federation, we weren't thinking about a Starfleet Academy show, right? When we were writing The Burn, we weren't really thinking about having an Academy show. Nahla Ake lost her son, her daughter, I don't know what it was, her kid somehow, who was in the Academy on a ship when The Burn happened and apparently died. And now you see that the issue at hand in this episode, thematically and in plot-wise, is parent problems, right? It's mother-son specifically. Nahla Ake is replacing her lost son with Caleb Mir, and Caleb Mir is replacing his lost mother with Nahla Ake. Can you tell that? Can you tell? That's what this episode's about. So we get to San Francisco. Caleb Mir gets let off the hook by Nahla Ake, and we're ready for our next episode. And there's your first episode of Starfleet Academy, Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Kids these days. They do call them kids. Like, when they first get attacked, they tell Lura Thok to get to the kids. And it makes it sound like there's not that many kids. Like, how many people on this ship are crew and how many people are Academy? I'm not sure. This ship looks very, very big, but it's also hard to kind of tell, like, the exact layout of things. Like, when I was looking at it, I was like, let's say we got 3 decks on the edge. Like, how big is this whole ship? I don't know. Someone's going to figure out the details, but my guess is that it's probably a lot bigger than it has to be, because this is Space Track. And, I mean, color me crazy. Look at this guy wondering about the design of the ship and why it looks like that and the layout of the ship. What, are you crazy? Well, at least we don't have a turbo lift roller coasters like we had in Discovery. Am I right? Nudge, nudge, say no more. This episode, I will say, visually, it's beautiful. Par for the course for New Trek. The episodes tend to be very, very flashy, expensive looking, beautiful. Cinematography. I thought cinematography, in that sense, in this episode, was actually better than what you usually get from Strange New Worlds or Discovery. There's a lot of interesting shots, especially with seeing Caleb Mir partially obscured through a semi-opaque wall. I thought that was really interesting, amongst other things with this episode. Musically, good. I didn't see or hear what the theme song was because I didn't see an intro. It kind of skipped the whole intro idea. Like, where was the intro? Other than that, the incidental music that was playing in the background was really cool. It was uplifting in a way that previous New Trek offerings weren't. And it got me kind of a little bit more invested in the idea of going to school. It sounds scholastic. It sounds more adventurous than normal. And Braka had his own musical motif, which I thought was very cool. He's a very like Harry Mudd style villain. I didn't feel threatened by him because, frankly, he felt so stupid. And he made so many strange tactical decisions that seemed stupid, but he got away with it because we're more stupid than he is. I don't know. We'll see how that develops. Again, this is about the music, and Braka's music was really cool. Go back and listen to it. Thematically, mother and son. That's what this is about. Mother and son and mother, and that relationship, how everything kind of revolves around it, and your new found family. That's another factor in this. Thematically, a little on the nose, but at least it's there. Plot-wise, it's just sci-fi action show. Like, I'm going to school. Oh no, the school is attacked. We beat the villain with technobabble. That's what happens, which unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who you ask, leads to an extremely average episode. This is the most average thing I've seen from a series premiere / season premiere in a while. So for all those reasons, I'm going to have to go with just a flat 5. The episode works. It kind of gives you what it's trying to sell you, and that's that. I was going to go slightly higher, but I kind of talked myself out of it because of the strange plot elements that come up only on rewatches. Like, Braka really is, like, is he the real villain of this season? I said this months ago, months ago, speculating on Academy. Is he really the bad guy? Just doesn't feel like it. And if we get to the end of the season and he's actually the bad guy, that's bad, because he doesn't feel like he's really the bad guy. He feels like he's too comical. Paul Giamatti, I thought, was good in it. As was everyone else, to be honest with you. I thought everyone kind of performed reasonably well. I didn't feel one character was extremely out of place. That's saying something. That's good. And it just seems odd that he was revealed to be the villain so early on, like there was no mystery to it, which suggests maybe he's not. He's like a fake-out villain, and the real villain's about to show up later. I don't know. But there's a very average series premiere for you. It's not absolute nonsense, and it's not amazing. It's just your sci-fi action adventure show for young adults where we have a mustache twirling villain. That's the show, right? If you're looking for Star Trek, right, there's a lot of old Star Trek to watch. But if you're looking for that, this isn't exactly it. Things may change, but I'm reviewing this based on what it is, not based on what I want. I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you shortly in the review for Episode 2 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. So long.